Time is X minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
It's the Rocket Hour. Y'all are now tuned in. Time to hit the pick four that you'd love to win. If your money's coming slow, step on the faster track with your host, Ricky Pasternak. Let's go.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Rocket Hour. I've got my boy Ricky P. And Ricky, we're going home. We are going home. The birth of the Rocket Hour was Gulfstream Park. We're back today. Are you excited?
I don't remember the last time we were here. I would say the last probably since Belmont started. That would be my. We follow. I said it at the beginning. We follow the Acacia Courtney train. When she comes to New York, we follow. When she goes to Florida, we follow. Unfortunately, she's not in Florida, but we have to make do because they have a big mandatory payout day today. It's, I think, the end of their fiscal half year because it's the end of June. Also the end of the month, obviously. A lot of tracks, you'll see that. At the end of the year, half year or quarter year or end of the month, they're going to have payouts. So that's where we're headed today. We're going to talk about the card. I don't know how long it's going to take us with all the scratches, but I'm excited. Hallandale Beach. I'm much happier being here in New Jersey, New York. It's a little cooler than 100% humidity, but no, I'm excited. There's a lot to get to, and we'll talk about some races that we saw over the weekend and things like that as well. So
yeah, for sure. So into the fiscal year down in Florida. That's why Gulfstream and Tampa will run today, and then the beginning of the fiscal year is tomorrow. So they'll run today and tomorrow. A little two-day bonus for us, and we'll definitely take it. Like you mentioned, it is off the turf today at Gulfstream, so make note of that. There are a few scratches. We've got that covered for you, though. We're prepared for the off-the-turf stuff. Kind of thought that was going to happen after looking at the forecast last night. But before we get into Gulfstream, I do think we need to kind of recap the two big Breeders' Cup win-in-your-own events from last weekend at Churchill Downs. We'll start with the fleur-de-lis, Ricky. Latruska stamps her ticket to the Breeders' Cup Distaff, which we knew she was going to be there anyway. But Latruska dominates the fleur-de-lis. First question I will ask, I've got two questions for you. First question, was this her most impressive effort just from a get out there and just dominate these fillies from gate to wire?
Any race that doesn't include any of the top three or four, so that's Monomoy Girl, that's a She Dares the Devil. Who else am I missing? Oh God!
Right now, that's it. Swiss Skydiver. Yeah.
So if you're not facing one of those, that's already a negative against you, and that's not her fault. It's like Oklahoma football playing the community college down the street. That's not their fault that they put up 107 points. It is what it is, though. We have to factor that in. Also, let's factor in that the time, the opening quarter, just kind of to prove that point, it was 24-2, 48 flat, which was almost 48-1 actually. It was 48-19. It just wasn't even that fast. It's one thing if she just blew them out of the water. Yeah. So I think it's a combination. I don't think it's the best effort we've seen. I'll give her an A- because she won by more than 5 lengths. I was with my dad watched, and he kind of said the same thing. It's like that he didn't face the best of the best. I would say the second best horse in here is probably Spice is Nice, maybe Point of Honor. They're C+ for that level, maybe B- on their best day. So I'll give her an A- just because of who she faced in the opening quarter and halftime. But it wasn't a bad effort. She did what she needed to do. I mean, it is what it is.
I thought she looked like a Hulk before that race. That's the best I've ever seen her look physically. She looked tremendous. I agree. I mean, beating Monomoy Girl in the Apple Blossom, obviously that ranks number one for me. And that's, to your point, didn't have to beat much. But, man, she looked like a giant amongst the rest of those out there. And I love a horse. And I know the competition was poor, but I love a horse that could just take it right to him like that. So I was impressed. After the race, they kind of talked about, like, we're going to try the boys maybe at some point, and we're going to try to get in this horse of the year discussion with Latruska, which obviously if she beats the boys, I think she would be right there and have a shot, depending on what race she was to win. Do you like the idea of maybe her trying to face the boys later on?
So I have an interesting take on it. I don't think I've always wanted to see Monomoy face the boys. We never got that. And one of the reasons I don't think we did is because she had never won the distaff before. That was one, it's like we could beat the girls, but we want to do it at the highest level, which is the distaff for the ladies. So we never saw it. Is she as good as Monomoy was in her prime? I don't think so. Mm-hmm. So, and I think that's a probably consensus take. I don't want to see her face the boys. I really, really don't. Now, is it possible that the girl division, when everyone's at their best, is better than the boys? I think you can make a case. I think you can make a case that Monomoy girl, There's a Devil, Swiss Skydiver, yeah, they're good enough and would make it a tougher race. I still don't want to see that. It's also, if Monomoy girl doesn't return, which is, you pointed out many times is possible, it kind of seems like it might be a free win for her. You would have to face Silver State. You might have to face Nick's Go. You might have to face Mystic Guide, who we're going to see, I think, maybe is it this weekend or next weekend?
This weekend, yep.
Yeah, this weekend at Belmont. So I'm not sure. To answer the question, I wouldn't do it personally. You have a nice thing going here. Continue that. Not that the distaff is a free win, but you have to say at this point, if we were to fast forward, 3 months, 4 months, he would be probably 4 to 5 even money. So why would I, it's not like it's a $200,000 race. So there's really no reason to switch courses. I would like to see it. I just don't think she would be good enough anyway. So that's my
kind of have to pick and choose your spot, I think would be the best way to answer it. I'm not necessarily for it or against it. Just kind of have to pick and choose the spot there. And hopefully, she can keep this roll going because she is a super fun horse. I think with a dirt horse, I like the ones that just get out to the lead and say, come get me. Turf more, I like the ones that come from off the pace. But dirt, those horses are fun to watch. Let's move on to the Stephen Foster. Maxfield absolutely blows out the competition, kind of like you and I thought he would. I guess the question here is, and we talked about this field wasn't much. Was he impressive enough? I know, again, you're going to talk about the field not being great, but was he impressive enough to think, okay, once he faces maybe, a little bit better competition, say in the Whitney, we'll just throw it out there. Maybe that's where they go with him or wherever he goes. Did he do enough in this race where you go, you know what? I think he is on par with like a Mystic Guide type of horse.
No, I've always been a fan, not as big of a fan as Jared, I guess, since he horse in the league. But I've always thought he was extremely, extremely talented. I've always thought that he really has one blemish on his resume. So there's no reason to think that he can't go run an A+ race and be right there. I think he's better than any of the 3-year-olds we've seen. I would take him just head to head over Essential Quality, who's probably the only one who can make a legitimate case in my book to run in the Classic. I would fade all the other ones. With that being said, I'm still afraid that there's a horse that can get brave on the front end and keep him out of it. It's like when you have a horse that the turf, I don't mind as much with the domestic spending, just because you're a lot more prevalent to see horses come from out of it. The old adage is no matter where you are on the turf, you're in the race, unless you're 20 lengths back. That's the old adage. On the dirt, you never know. One horse gets real brave, and posts a 22-4, which is possible for the best horses in the country to do that, going 9 furlongs, 10 furlongs, 11 furlongs. It's possible. At that point, it's detrimental to the closer, which Maxfield is, in terms of mid-pack. I shouldn't say closer. Mid-pack, going to be sitting 3rd or 4th. Can a horse get brave? Sure. I think he could win the Classic, though. I truly believe, and the great thing about him is you're not going to get a short price. I don't think you're ever going to get, unless he just romps the rest of the summer, which I don't think will happen. If he goes into the Whitney right now, we don't see him till the Whitney. Depending who's in there, I think we can get 3-1 on him, which would be a fair price because you'll see Mr. Guide most likely. You'll probably see Knicks go again. And then maybe someone else, Silver State, maybe someone else will arise. So who knows? But I think he can win it all. I think he could go undefeated and beat every horse that he's
his kind of horse. And we run into these type of horses all the time at the bigger levels. They're always the toughest to judge because he just keeps winning and winning impressively. And he's also not facing much. I mean, that was the thing. I went into the Stephen Foster when I started handicapping last week, and I thought, all right, let's try to beat Maxfield here. I'm not like, I mean, I know you're not as high as Jared is on him, but you're like, you think he's that classic type. I really didn't look at him that way. And then you look at that field, and it's just like, I'm not going to pick Warriors Charge. I'm not going to pick. These horses are trash. They're not any better than what he's really been facing. I will say this. I thought he looked like better than he ever had last week. And again, I know it's not much. He passed those horses like they were tied to a pole. Like he went from 5th to 1st. Now, I know they're not very good, but, never really asked him to run, kind of in a gallop. He looked like a horse that, is just improving, maybe has another gear if he needs it. I didn't really ever take that away from all of his other races. I kind of did from Saturday. So he becomes a big problem. It's like, is he really going to be good enough to beat, like, I know he's not going to face his stablemate Mystic Guide probably to the Classic, but that type of horse, like say Happy Saver, a horse that's going to run in the Suburban that could be a pretty good one. Are we going to pick that horse? I'm not sure. I don't know. So he definitely got thrown into the conversation. I thought he was very, very good. Here's a quick comment from Nick. Maxfield is almost underrated because he missed Juvenile and Derby. He's 7 for 8 lifetime. Flow sucks compared to Jose. I'm excited for the rest of the year. So, yeah, the one loss was at Santa Anita, and it was in the big cap. It was 1.25 miles. Florent Giroux was aboard. Jose has been aboard lately, last couple of starts since the loss. Ricky, I guess, what do you think? Is he underrated, number one? And is Jose Ortiz, I know you're the biggest Jose Ortiz fan maybe in the country. When he's on this horse, does this horse take it to another level?
I'll be honest. When you have a horse that's this good, and I'm not really sure it matters who's riding him. I'll be brutally honest. I've said it for a long time. It's a weird. I guess this is the Mike Somich bell curve. What he does it with Rosario, but I'm going to do it here with I'm going to do it with riders in general. When the horses are really, really, really bad, like New York bred maiden claimers, I don't think it matters who's riding because I think the horse is horrible. Like they're all bad. They're really, really bad. Then let's shift it to the other end when you have the best of the best in the country. I think they're so good, it doesn't really matter. Now, if I gave you, how about this? If you gave me jockeys 1 through 10 in the country, whether they were riding in Turf Paradise, whether they were riding, and I'll even throw in Woodbine, whether they were throw Woodbine, Belmont, Florida, and Texas, wherever you want, wherever in the country, I would be willing to take the 10th on him, even if it was a guy he's never ridden, because he's so good. The horse will lead the jockey to open space. It's really when you get to those claimers, the allowance, maybe the state bred stakes, like those areas where the rider upgrade is a huge thing. I don't look into it as much. Flow sucks compared to Jose. Anyone sucks compared to Jose in my book. So I'll sign off with that comment. I think Jose at his best is a level above everyone else. And you can't go by the IRAD percentages because he will ride anything. Jose doesn't as much. Jose is also a lot more relationship based. Aaron, you've seen it better than me. IRAD will get on a lot of horses for trainers he hasn't been on. If that, like Jose won't do that. So you can't go by percentages and rider titles and things like that. But if we looked at the percentages of wins versus the races they were actually in, or ones they had a chance, like if we were able to break that down, I think we would see something different. But at 1.25 against good horses, Flo can't take it. Yeah, I mean, if that's your knock against Flo, I'm not gonna. I like him. I don't love him. I love Jose Ortiz. I don't love Laurent Giroux. That's just the way I am. Maybe it's because I don't have any Kentucky bias, but and I have New York bias. I'll give you that. But I think Maxfield's good enough, honestly, where you, I mean, Jose is. If I had to pick one rider. And I didn't know what the distance was. I didn't know what the surface was. I didn't know what the competition was. That's who I would pick. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I said I have to have a turf closer, then I'd probably lean towards Joel because I know that's what he's really good at. But if I didn't know, like if I was just picking out of a hat, I'd probably go with Jose. Like, I just think that he's the most well-rounded. And I know I'm going to get a good ride. I never, ever say, like, that was a really bad ride. I can't remember saying that. So
it's a boring kind of answer, but either one of the Ortiz brothers, that's just who you take, I'm sure would Irad be second for you? I mean, it's like those two guys are just fantastic.
Yeah. Well, the crazy thing is they're really like after each other. They really push themselves. Yeah. Like one's pushing the other, A's pushing B, B's pushing A. They do a great job of really motivating each other. And I think Irad's a little bit younger and he's willing to get on a little bit more, and that's fine. I mean, it's not like Jose needs the money. No one needs to start a GoFundMe for Jose Ortiz. But I mean, when Irad gets hot, I don't feel it's as hot because a lot of them are like maiden claimers, like that horses he should get on and win. Jose, you feel like that horse has a little something different, and that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I think you can't go wrong with either one, and I'm with Nick. I especially with this point. I mean, sometimes it's you see Flo, and it's like I don't know what you're trying to do there. So I think Jose a little bit more consistent, and I think that's the big key. We'll be excited. It's going to be very exciting with Maxfield. I mean, we're in for a big summer. We've got a lot of really good horses in the Suburban this weekend. Will give us a little bit of clarity on that older division as well. All right. Now to the main event, we're going to head back to Gulfstream Park today. Like I said earlier on the show, we're covering races 5 through 8. It's a late pick 4 at Gulfstream Park, and they're off the turf. They are off the turf today. That is, something you have to take into account, obviously. So let's kick it off. Race 5. This was scheduled for 7.5 furlongs on the turf. That has now changed to 7 furlongs on the dirt. 12-5 claimers in this one. We do have 3 scratches, the 1, the 2, and the 3 have scratched. The 5 was a main track only and is now in, obviously, because we are off the turf. So, Ricky, I'll let you kick it away. Or not the greatest field, but it's not horrible considering that we're now off of the original surface.
Yeah, you know what the crazy thing is? We have an MTO who comes in at 6-5, but I truly believe we can beat this horse. You're not gonna try to beat the horse. So I'll let you kind of talk about that one. Yeah. I guess I'll go through the others. I thought Pearlescent was interesting. Hasn't run on the dirt in a long time, but she's gonna be breaking from the rail now because 1, 2, and 3, like you said, are out. I think that's an interesting proposition. I think horses like a plotter like this one show more speed when they break from the rail, especially if you're Edgard Zayas and you look around and you know the 5 is right there. How are you going to beat this horse? You're not going to pass. Obviously, we don't know what the track condition is going to be like. I think the 4 is going to show a little bit more speed here because if you looked to the inside, the 2 was going to show speed, and I think the 4 would have been sitting that perfect trip. Now going to the rail, I think things are going to change. How about the 6, Charlotte the Brit? I kind of think this horse is I think she's a little bit better on the dirt. 5 of 9 on the dirt, in the money, I should say. It's just one of those situations where she showed speed last time and was much better. I was going a little bit further. We haven't seen her on the dirt in a long time either. She's had a lot more chances on the turf. So she's finishing the money in 8 out of 21 with 2 wins as opposed to 5 out of 9. I'll take the 5 out of 9. Again, I'm trying to make cases. This looks like the type of race that I can't really give you a reason why, but I think everyone's going to look at that 5 and kind of see that win by 10 lengths, and everyone's going to hammer because there was really nothing before that indicated it to me. I thought the 9 was interesting as well, Luca Panici. This looks like the type of horse that if everyone goes, which I think this is going to be a little bit quicker, this could be the horse in the slot that passes. She has 0 early speed. Again, I don't love any of them. I just have a feeling that this is not a race that I want to single. So that I'll leave it to you now, but I try to use as many as possible because I think I can get a price, and that 5 is gonna be 3 to 5. That's my guess. So I'll leave it to you now with that horse.
Yeah, I just think the problem with the race is there isn't a lot of main track speed. So there's not, or a lot of main track form. So I did agree with your assessment of the 6. I do think that's a horse that has proven, that she can run on the dirt. The problem is we haven't seen her on it in a while, but I was not surprised to see that she stayed in the race because she does have that form. With the 5, the other big problem, I think it's a massive trainer upgrade today. First off, the claim for Carlos David, I think that is a great angle. So that just put me too much. I had to go with the win wager on the 5 here. I get it. I get that you want to try to beat this horse. You look at the past performances. This is not a world beater by any means. So, to try to spice up your pick 4 payout here and get a price home in the first leg, I like the strategy, Ricky. But as far as my way of looking at it, I'm trying to pick a horse that's going to win. And I just think the 5 is the most likely winner of the race. Honestly, if the horse hadn't been claimed by Carlos David last time out, I may have picked the 6 to win the race because I do think the 6 is pretty sneaky in here. I really like the 6 on the turf. I wish it would have stayed on. But anyway, I went with the 5 on top, though, because of that claim. I just think first time for Carlos David after a trainer that, not a lot of people really ever heard of. Just too strong for me. So I went with the 5. You want to add anything here, Ricky, or are you ready to move on?
No, I'll move on. The other thing I just want to add, just as a side note, when I'm looking at these types of things, the races that are taken off, I try to identify the worst race out of the class, and this is clearly it. I like the maiden claiming that we'll get to at the end. Those horses that finish like 1st, 2nd, 3rd, or 4th are probably better than these. So even though it's maiden claiming and they haven't won yet, if you drop them into this race like as winners, they probably win. So it's just one of those things where I try to identify the worst race in the group. This is what I came up with. That's why I'm doing it. And to your point, it's like I just don't trust. I don't know what happened last time out, because clearly it was maybe a freak race. We're going to find out, but I'm with you. That's the horse to beat. I'll admit, I'm not going to try to make it up, but that's the horse to beat.
Let's cover this one just real quick. I have scrolled on, but we'll cover this. I think Leilani, that's the 7 horse, is interesting with Vasquez back aboard. I just, honestly, it was just not good enough here lately. Speed figures aren't great, gotten beat by a lot. I love that the horse is back on the dirt, I guess, or instead of the turf, I should say, is on the dirt, but I couldn't get there. Did you consider the 7 at all?
No.
Yeah,
I'll just leave it at no.
Just been beaten by too many links was the biggest problem. Now I do think you face a field today that's probably weaker than what she's been facing, but I just couldn't. I would have to hit the all button, I think, to get to the 7.
We haven't seen this horse finish in the money since 2019. No, thank you.
Yeah, I'm with you. I couldn't get there, but listen, we had a comment, and that's what we do. We try to cover all the comments. All right. Let's move on to race 6. This I don't know, probably the best race on the card, I would say, at least from a quality standpoint. Allowance optional claimer, $50,000, going 6.5 furlongs on the dirt. This race was originally scheduled for the dirt, so I don't have to worry about any MTOs or anything like that. For 3-year-olds and upward. All right, Ricky, we got a field of 5 because the 1 has scratched out of the race. So field of 5. Where are you looking here?
I think the 3 is going to be the horse to beat. That's your win bet. I won't go into it, but from my end, extremely consistent. Safi Joe knows where to place, and I think this is a weak AOC 50 field in terms of it's a good race, but I think this race could also be labeled as like an AOC. I think they have like 35 also at Gulfstream. Like there's not much of a difference because I really like the one who is dropping out of those stakes races as well. That was my top choice. But I think the 3 is the horse to beat. The other horse I want to keep an eye on is the 6 Legal Deal. You talked about Carlos David. This horse not only has Carlos David, this horse is 3 for 4 on wet dirt. So if I think the 3 is the horse to beat, which I do, and we're 2 through 6 now, the 1's out. I think the 3 is the horse to beat. I'm going to take a shot with a horse that's extremely, extremely good on wet dirt. I was back and forth between the 2 and 2, 4, and 6 because they have wet dirt form. The 2 has been dreadful, absolutely dreadful the last few starts. Same thing with the 4. I mean, that's why I landed on the 6. The 6 hasn't been absolutely dreadful, but I'm willing to take a shot. I think the 3 is the horse to beat, so I figured I'd take one shot with a horse that's really, really good over a wet surface. So I went 3-6.
Yeah, I don't mind the play of the 6 there. I also think the 5 is pretty dangerous as well, but I am all about the 3 Doc Amster here. That'll be where the $10 win wager goes in this race. Safi Joe, we know all about him. We don't have to worry about him. Edgar Zayas and him teaming up, and they're really hot right now when those 2 team up. And you just look at the pace of this race. Boy, who's going to run with the 3? That was my big thing. There's just nobody that seems like they can run with the 3 early. And when Gulfstream, when that track gets a little wet, speed really seems to hold in my estimation. So I just think it's pretty simple. I think the 3 gets to the front. I think the 3 is going to play catch me if you can, and I just don't see anybody that's going to be able to catch the 3. I'm with you also on the thought of, play the 3 and maybe one more. And if you're going to do it, I'm with you trying to play a little bit more of a price and not just the 2 favorites here. So you're trying to spice it up with the 6. Did you kind of see it the same way? Who's going to run with the 3 here?
Well, we know time and time again, we asked ourselves that question, and someone's going to. So we're just not sure who it is. I would, if I had to guess, I'd probably say it's the 6. I think the 6 is going to be sitting like in that maybe the 5. I wouldn't mind if the 6 isn't in the top 3. I don't think he's really got a shot. But again, the last time a race was taken off the turf, he won. Now that was a starter allowance 16,000, so definitely lower. But you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if Carlos David looks at Edwin Gonzalez and says, just try to sit second behind the 3. You never know what happens from there, right? So that's probably going to be the tactics. Edwin Gonzalez is more than capable of doing just that, just placing the horse in the right spot. So that's where I am.
Yeah, and you never know too. These, it is an allowance, but sometimes at Gulfstream we'll handicap it, and it's going exactly how we think, and then that speed horse will just stop. So Gulfstream, especially this time of year, you can see some weird things. So we'll move on to race number 7. It's for Florida bred. So we're back to the Florida bred racing there, Ricky, that we love so much. It's an allowance optional claimer for 12.5. 6.5 furlongs on the dirt. Like I said, for state bred fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and upward. Field of 8, no scratches here. That's good news. So I thought this one seemed pretty wide open on paper. I think you can make a case for a few. Did you kind of see it that way?
Yeah, I went with 4 deep. I'm looking at your win wager here. Okay, so I'll leave that one. The 2 Royal Habibi, I think the claim from Safi Joe is interesting. Jorge Delgado is really, really good with, first off, the claim. This horse ran at on December 27th on the turf, claiming 35. If we just look at the classes, I think that class is slightly better than this one because this is Florida bred allowance optional claiming. Even though I don't think any of the horses are in for a tag, it's still for a 12.5 tag. So obviously they all come in protected here. This horse is just extremely consistent. This is my type of horse. I'm not sure where she's going to be in terms of pace. She might be a little too far back. But Delgado off the claim was good. I'm willing to take a shot there. Not a ton of wet dirt for him. 1 second in 2 starts. The 7 Kitty. I mean, I don't know anything about John Vincent, but he's winning at 50%. That's good enough for me. Was really, really good at the maiden claim in 50 level. It was 3 to 5. Once she kind of got out of the gate, it was bad start. She just ran them off their feet. I don't know if she's going to be able to handle the dirt or not, but I don't want to be the guy to not use her. And then the 8 Caffeine Crush, first 2 races on a wet dirt, first and second in them. So I'm not sure how I avoid her also. And then you could talk about your horse. I just don't know where we could, I don't know where to cut loose. Like the first race is like, I'm trying to beat that horse. Mm-hmm. This one, I don't think I want a short price, but I'm much more confident in your horse that you're going to talk about than I am in the other one. So maybe you can help me trim it down a little bit.
Yeah, this is a little bit like, let's just survive and get through the leg here. You're not worrying about a price as much as, hey, let's just get through it, because it's tough. And we'll talk about Sandman's horse here in just a second as well that you didn't use, because I think that horse is interesting as well. But I'll kick off with my $10 win wager is with the 3 Kamartaj, and I just think this horse last time out looked very good. Set fractions that weren't slow last time out. She was going pretty quick up front and was able to still kick on and win by 1.5 lengths. I've already talked about how I believe that speed plays pretty well at Gulfstream when the track gets a little wet. I think this is the fastest horse again in the race, and I just think she gets out in front, and it's kind of boring. I said it last race, and I'll say it again this race. Gets out in front and going to be pretty tough to run down. I think the only one that can really kind of go with her early is the 8, and the 8 is fairly inconsistent. So I think this 3 second time out, I know it's first time against winners, but this horse looked pretty good on debut. So I'm going to go right back and give her a shot here. I do want to talk about this comment on Tiz Enough. Tiz Enough making first start since 4th as a favorite in the last race. Has produced 3 next out winners. I think that's very important to note. Ricky, I'll kind of talk about Tiz Enough real quick, and then you can. Several attempts kind of at the non-winners of a race but a maiden level, and just hasn't been able to get it done. I can see this horse maybe being like kind of just a bridesmaid type. It took a long time for her to break her maiden, and now it's taken a long time to win the second level. What did you think of Tiz Enough?
I've learned time and time again that unless something changes or the fields change dramatically, which this one hasn't, she's not going to win at this level. So I have evidence on that. I look at the group of 6, so I don't really know what she's done before that off the top of my head. She's had a chance since last October, and Aaron, you could correct me if it's been longer than that. At this level, she hasn't won. Okay. Mm-hmm. The last time out, she was a favorite, now lukewarm favorite, still couldn't win. What is the indication that at a short price I should take her? Can she win? Of course. She's been consistent, but there's no rider change that's different. Edwin Gonzalez was aboard the last 2 times. 6.5 furlongs is the same thing as 6 as far as I'm concerned. I have no idea what she's going to run on a wet dirt surface. And Vernon Allenson, who owns and trains, don't really know anything about the connections there. So I don't have any indication that something's different. If I've lost money on these situations time and time again. This just kind of seems like a horse that I already know what she is. So I don't need her. I really don't. If I get beat by her, I'll be the first one to admit that I was wrong, but I don't know. I just think this is a short price when it's not needed. She's probably going to run like 3rd, so she'll stay consistent.
The thing about a horse like this, whoops, I didn't mean to take that off there for you. The thing about a horse like this is they're not bad horses. Like she would be nice to own, right? But she's not a winner. It took her 9 races to break her maiden. It's now taken her 6. This will be her 7th try to get that second win. And you're right. Yeah. Can she win? She can for sure. I mean, she's right there. Her numbers are right there. She's ran at this level and hadn't been embarrassing herself, running pretty well. Like Sandman said, comes out of a race that produced a lot of winners, but I just don't trust her to win the race. I think she's a really good horse to always use underneath. And you're right. There's going to be a time where this horse jumps up and beats you. Hopefully it's not today, but yeah, these type of horses will drive you nuts because you get in situations like, oh, that horse should win, and they just don't finish the job. So,
I just have no interest, to be honest with you. Like, I'll take the 8 over the 4 in terms of just potential. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, the 8 is kind of another one that's just kind of there every time. But yeah, I mean, that's a lot of times these races on Wednesdays, they're kind of filled with horses that they're not the greatest, to put it bluntly.
Especially when it's not like what I call an in-form Wednesday. It's like they don't run on Wednesday. So it's like you know what I'm saying? It's like they don't usually run. These are just horses that probably ran on like a normal Thursday that they just put together at the last minute. So
yeah,
I guess we'll see.
Yeah, there's not any races on these cards Wednesday and Thursday at Gulfstream and Tampa. They're going to blow you away. So don't be looking for superstars. They're not there. So, and speaking of that, we'll go on to the 8th race, a good old maiden claiming event, what we always love to cover here on the Rocket Hour. But I think you kind of said it a little earlier. It's not a horrible race. Maiden claimer, this race was going to be on the turf, is taken off the turf. Now 1 mile on the dirt, $35,000 maiden claiming for 3-year-olds and upwards. We do have some scratches. The 2 is out, the 7 is out, and the 10 is out. So 2, 7, and 10 have scratched. That leaves us with a field of 7. Ricky, close us off here.
Yeah, so this is where we're going to part ways. I'll talk about 3 horses that I'm using. I'll just go in order real quick. I think Triple Jeopardy looked good on the drop down in class. Has a couple finishes in the money, 2 finishes in the money out of 3 races. And I think ran well back-to-back races now at the maiden claiming level last time out. Another drop would make sense for him. The 6, Mutapharique. This horse I like a lot better on the dirt. It's as simple as that. Miguel Vasquez picks up the mount for big rider upgrade. This isn't the Edgar Prado of 2010. So Miguel Vasquez gets the mount there. And this horse, I didn't want this horse at all on the turf, but on the dirt, finishing second twice makes sense in 2 efforts. And then the 9, Double Blessing. If we throw out that maiden special weight race, which to be honest, I have no idea why he was ever entered in, this horse has finished second twice. We don't know what he is on the dirt, but there is AP Indy pedigree on the dam side. So maybe this horse can run on the dirt. I'm not sure. It's a guess. But the horse that you talked about, I'll let you go before I get to my reason as to why I'm not using him. But at least you only have $5 on him. So it's a sign that you're not that confident.
No, I'm not. So yeah, the 4 horse, what Mutaka Mil? Is that how we'd say? Mutaka Mil?
Yeah. I take pride in knowing the names and that right on the money. Mutaka Mil.
I'm very proud of myself. Listen, there's no question this horse looks like a lifetime maiden, right? I mean, but it's a situation here where this field is not great. First off the claim, and this was the big one for JC Avila, and that was kind of my deal. It's like, okay, we finally have got a guy here that is used to claiming horses at this level. Maybe he claimed this horse and he's figured something out. I am definitely going to try to give this horse a shot in a race this bad. Now, I want to make that very clear. In a race this bad, I'll give this horse a shot. And listen, claimed at the 20 level, moved up to 35. I think that's a good sign as well. Again, $5 to win. I'm not over the moon about it, but a race like this, new connections, I'll give the horse a shot.
Yeah, no, I mean, all right, so here's my all right. Outside of the Juan Carlos Avila thing, this horse is 0 for 14.
Right.
This looks like a horse that's just never gonna win.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm coming from. I'm with you on the price, though. I mean, I don't even think you're gonna get 6-1. I think you'll get better than that, to be quite honest with you. Because I would take the 1, I would take the 3, I take the 6, and I take the 9. So, with that being said, I think you're gonna get your price. Hopefully, I'm wrong. Unless I'm alive. If I'm alive, then I really hope you're wrong. But we'll see. Maybe the 15th effort will be the winning one.
Well, I mean, again, I never play a horse like this, but it's just a situation where it's almost like we've hit the reset button. You know, we were with Jeff Engler, and now we're with, you know, a guy that succeeds at this level and succeeds first off the claim. So I know, I get it. Listen, the last 2 races weren't horrible from this horse. So, you know, if Avila can move him up a little bit, I definitely think, you know, he's going to be right there. This is a pretty terrible race. The sad thing about this horse is this is a horse by Tappet out of an Unbridled Song mare. This horse is bred to be really good early in her.
So this is what I want to point out. Okay, yeah. I don't know if you have it on time form. Tell me if you do. Tell me if you don't.
I do.
This Tappet stands for $185,000. I don't know what farm. I don't know if it's Lane N. I don't know if he stands down the street here on Palisade Avenue in Fort Lee, New Jersey. I have no idea, nor do I care. But this horse went for $40,000. You know what that means? Not one of the better Tappet horses. Like, the prices are a good indication. Like, if Tappet stands for 185 and he only goes for 40 at a Keen November breeding sale, probably not going to be a good horse. So that's just one of the things that's interesting to know. If he was Tappet and went for 300K, or even Tappet and went for 185, that's one thing. But went for 40 at a Keeneland sale, yeah, probably not the most talented horse out there. So you're right, though. On pedigree, if you take out the money and the evaluations, this horse should be pretty good. Great point by me or by you?
I think by you about the and I agree. And
yeah, I mean, there's a lot of pedigree, and I've seen times when there's like, okay, for example, number 3, Kozan, $10,000, but Kozan went for $52,000, and you could see based on the way the 3 is run, the 3 has some talent. Not that the 4 doesn't have any, but it makes sense. If you have a horse that stands for 10 and goes for 50. That's much better than a horse that stands for 185 and goes for 40. So even though one's $50,000, one's $40,000, I mean, you think you're getting a Tappet colt, and you're probably going to win a race or two. This horse, if this horse wins here, he'll never win another race in a day in his life. So that's where I'm at. So I hope for your sake you're on the Tappet train, but I'm going to avoid the Tappet train.
Well, and what I will tell you is that is a very good thing to track. And when horses debut, when we don't know what they really are, things like that is a beautiful thing to look at. When you get to this level, we don't need to know what you just said to know this horse sucks, because we've seen it 14 times, right? So we know he's pretty bad by now. But that is a great, great point. Always remember that, especially – big races coming up, Saratoga, Del Mar, 2-year-olds that are going to have that pedigree. When you see that horse debut and it's like, wow, this horse stands for 100,000 and it sold for 30. That's one to stay away from. And listen, they might have a pedigree that makes you want to play them, but that's a very good thing. And that's a good thing, as we're now, we're like 17 days away from Saratoga. So,
well, if we remove this comment,
oh, there you go. 15 days.
15 days away. You can't see to Saratoga or opening day or whatever I put, but we're 15 days because it's 2 weeks from tomorrow. So tomorrow's July 1st. So opening day is July 15th. So yes, you'll see a countdown on my end as well. I do it with like a month to go. We're officially in the countdown time. So yeah, no, but that's a fair point. It goes the other way, right? Like a $30,000 Kozan, not Kozan, Cantheros, I think is 30,000. If that horse goes for 110, well, that's probably one of Cantheros' better runners. Opening day ticket. You know what's funny? I guess, Aaron, we could kind of end it on this note and talk about Saratoga since I always want to do so.
Uh-huh.
I don't even know what. Tell us or tell me on the air what our situation for opening day is, because I don't know what it is. I was actually going to ask you off air. Are we just going to show up like some people and figure it out? Or are we going to be dressing up? To tell everyone and tell myself, what am I planning for?
It's lovely because with COVID, like used to, you would have press credentials months before they'd say, yeah, you're credentialed. With COVID, it's like a last minute thing. So I don't have an answer for you right now. That's that's the honest to God truth. I didn't know we weren't getting credentialed for the Belmont until like 10 days before. So no answer at this point, Ricky. I'm sorry. I know you're a planner, but
I am okay. So Aaron's correct. I am a planner. Yeah. Like if I can do something in advance, I'm going to do it. Especially when it doesn't require physical effort. Like if it's just planning like mentally or writing something down or making a reservation, I'm going to do it. What I will say is the whole Belmont thing was interesting because there weren't that many people. If you're going to be open, full capacity for Saratoga, there's no reason as to why we shouldn't be getting credentialed as far as I'm concerned. So not that my opinion matters. It sure as heck doesn't. But it's like the Belmont, again, there was only like 10, 15,000 people. I get that. That's fine. You can't have the whole thing. You can't be open and then tell people, sorry, we're not giving out passes. That's like saying you can come to Yankee Stadium, but we're not selling you beer and food. You got to bring your own. Well, what are we doing then? No merchandise either. You could just come and sit there. There's no merchandise. There's no alcohol. There's no food. So bring your own food. Make your own sandwich at home. I mean, it doesn't make sense.
That was a rant. That was a Ricky rant. All right, Ricky, before we get one more Ricky rant in, let's recap what we're doing today. I'll let you kick us off there.
Yeah, so we're going to start. What the crazy thing is, I had the product ready to go. This is like my most expensive ticket for a pick 4. I think the other one was cheaper just because I think we're going to get a couple prizes home. I'm really hoping we are. I'm in race 5. I'm taking as many as I can. I did include the short favorite. I was really, really close to not doing so, but I want to be sure just in case. I went 4, 5, 6, and 9. In the next race, I went with the 3 and the 6. The 6 is going to be interesting. Has a lot of wet dirt form. Let's see if we can get a price on the 3. Doc Amster is the horse to beat. In the 7th race, I took a bunch again. I'm going to use Aaron's 3, Kamar Taj. I think that's correct. But I went 2, 3, 7, 8. We have another horse in Kitty Kitty who won on debut. The 8 has, again, good wet dirt form. And the 2, Royal Habibi, first off for Jorge Delgado. And then in the 8th, we went 3, 6, 9. I think the 6 is really, really interesting getting back to the dirt. We don't know how this horse is going to perform on a wet dirt, but there is frosted pedigree there. Only stands for $25,000. I don't know if this was a private purchase or what the case was, but the 6 is interesting getting back to the dirt. So that's where I went. I went 4, 5, 6, 9 with 3, 6 with 2, 3, 7, 8 with 3, 6, 9. It comes out to $48.
All right. Yep. Race 5, $10 to win on that 5 that Ricky's going to try to beat. I don't know. I just think that horse looks pretty good on paper with it being off the turf. Race 6, I'm going to go $10 to win on the 3. I think a gate to wire winner there. Race 7, $10 to win on the 3. Deja Vu. Kind of think gate to wire is very possible there. And then race 8, not a great race at all. I'll take the Avila horse, the 4 horse, first time off the claim, just $5 to win there. Hopefully we get the price that Ricky says, hey, I'm going to get more than 6 to 1. I hope he's right. So, I didn't write the total there, but $35. I'm not, swinging big on a Wednesday off the turf at Gulfstream, but I think there are some interesting races. And I do I lean with you, Ricky. I think you're going to see an upset or two there to end this thing. So $35 investment for me. So that's it. For today. Let's see. We're going to do Belmont tomorrow, I'm sure. Belmont Friday. And then we'll also we'll talk a little Belmont Stakes action on for Saturday, the Suburban. And then maybe we'll talk a little Gulfstream stakes action too. They've got some big sprint stakes there.
Well, Friday, do we want to go to Prairie Meadows?
Ooh.
I'll leave that up to you. I know it's the Rocket Hour, but since you seem to take over command, I'll leave that up to you. We could still do stakes action Saturday and Saturday at Gulfstream. I think the Princess Rooney is on Saturday at Gulfstream, so we could do that, and then the Suburban. But I'll let you decide with Prairie Meadows or not. It's a decision for the director.
I forgot about those. Those Prairie Meadow races are good. Yeah, we're going to talk about those as well. We may do the Suburban, the Princess Rooney, and then the 3 Friday races at Prairie Meadows, and then Belmont. Oh my gosh, what a day!
Well, that would be well. At least, by the way, tomorrow at Belmont, prepare for rain for everyone. It's supposed to be raining. Of course, it's nice today. And mandatory payout day again at Gulfstream Park. So I don't know what the pools are off the top of my head. I haven't looked. But it is the mandatory payout, so everything's got to go. They can't have any money left on the books. So get in on it. At least we got something to look forward to Wednesday. And just in 2 Wednesdays, well, not 2 Wednesdays. I guess it's 3 Wednesdays. But Saratoga will be open on Wednesdays as well. Not opening week, but the week after. So the second week, that's going to be like the 21st, I think. So all good to go.
All right, so last question before we go off the air, and it's a very important one. Suns or Clippers and Canadians or Lightning tonight?
All right, I'll get the hockey one out of the way. I think the Canadians are lucky to get it to 5 games. So I'm going to go Lightning win. I think the Canadians win 1 in Montreal, like a 2-1 game, where Carey Price stands on his head. So I'll go Lightning 3-1.
Okay.
The Suns, I think the Suns get it done tonight. I really, really do. I'm going to say, I'm not going to give a score because I'm not going to get it right. But I say the Suns get it done, and they end that series tonight. So the Suns will win it in 6.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with both things. I think the time has come for the Canadians to kind of come down to earth. So they got kind of stopped the last game. I think that's going to continue. I don't know how the Suns didn't win Game 5, so I got to come back to them in Game 6. I would have bet $1,000 on the Suns. I really would have. I couldn't believe they lost that game, but and I cannot believe the Bucks lost last night. Like shocked. So NBA's crazy right now.
I'm with you. I'm completely with you. Yeah, I can't seem to figure out. I forgot where I saw on Twitter. It's like the NBA is unpredictable. It always is, always has been, always will be. So
yeah.
It is what it is. The Yanks are back on track. Big win last night, 11-5. It took a little while, but they're going to get going again. So
well, the Yankees, they're never dead, and I've learned that. So
that's true. Oh, Game 3 of the College World Series tonight. It's best 2 out of 3. So this is it. Whoever wins, Vanderbilt and Mississippi State. Will you be ringing cowbells, or will you be a Commodore?
I don't really like either one.
Well,
I don't know anything about their baseball teams. I'm just.
Well, you're a cowbell guy just because you're wearing maroon. So congratulations, you're rooting for Mississippi State tonight.
I did read Mississippi State has never won a national championship in any team sport, so I guess I'll root for them.
Well, in football, it's never going to happen.
No.
In basketball, it's not going to happen either.
No.
Not with Kentucky, Florida, and I can go on and on and on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to root for the Commodores. Here's why. Jack Leiter is a son of Al Leiter, who was a pitcher for the Yankees and the Mets. So right. I will, even though he's not pitch, I don't think he's pitching tonight, but that's who I will root for. I will root for the Commodores. Aaron will take the Bulldogs. He'll be ringing cowbells from Joplin all the way to Omaha, I guess.
Yeah, I haven't watched one pitch of that. So good luck to all the Mississippi State fans that are desperate for a championship. Hopefully you get it, and good luck to Jack Leiter, who I am today years old when I knew who Jack Leiter was. So
yeah, he's going to be a top 10 pick in the draft, probably top 5. So it's going to be interesting. So
good luck to him.
Exactly. Good luck.
All right. We're going to wrap it up here. We'll be right back here tomorrow. Same time, same channel. And also tomorrow, Blinkers Off sometime randomly throughout the day. That will happen. And the Magic Mike Show will be at 5:30 Eastern as well. So you got a big day tomorrow. Make sure to come back, check us all out tomorrow. And good luck if you guys are playing down in Florida today or anywhere else.